Foremost, it is important that an individual takes responsibility and know what to do in times of disasters. It should be known that disasters can strike at any time and without warning. In these events, being prepared is the most beneficial aspect in terms of a disaster. There are 4 major steps to preparedness, which include getting informed, making a plan, assembling a disaster supplies kit, and maintaining your plan during times of disasters. Most people are wondering, what is a disaster? Simply to put it, a disaster is an event that causes great damage or loss of life. Disasters can be broken up into 2 categories: natural disasters and man-made disasters. Disasters in general usually exceed a community or society ability to deal with the situation on its own. On the next slide, there are examples of both natural disasters and man-made disasters. Different types of disasters include hurricanes, earthquakes, nuclear explosions, tornadoes, chemical spills, fire, tsunamis, biological weapons, landslide, floods, and volcanoes. As you can see, there are many types of disasters, and they're either man-made or natural disasters. Now that we know what disasters are and how they are categorized, the first step to preparedness is getting informed. In this day and age, there are many communication devices. Mediums such as radios, television, and the internet are great ways to stay informed during times of disasters. It is a good idea to familiarize yourself about area hazards and be knowledgeable about the potential risks. Learning about community response plans, evacuation plans, and emergency shelters are ways to be better informed before dealing with a disaster. Also, be aware of how local authorities communicate when there are pending disasters. Again, communication can be through the radio, television, or internet, but can also be simply road signs and warnings. Make it your effort to be informed. The second step to preparedness is making a plan. A plan has different aspects, and in these next slides, I'll be covering some aspects. It is important to meet with family members and review info regarding hazards and potential disasters. Make sure to review the plans with each of the family members, including children, so everyone knows what to do when the situation arises. It is helpful to have an out-of-town contact, such as a relative or friend. Depending on the type of disaster, this can be very beneficial. While making a plan, it is important to coordinate where to meet. During a disaster, it is possible to get separated, so it's a good idea to have a meeting spot if something happens. For example, in case of a fire, outside the home is a good meetup spot. In other cases, it might not be possible to return home, so it's a good idea to have a meetup spot at least outside of your neighborhood. Escape routes and safe places are very important when making a plan. It is imperative that everyone knows the best escape route for each disaster. The best way to do this is to make a floor plan and draw important locations such as doors, windows, stairways, first aid kits, and fire extinguishers. Try to indicate at least 2 possible escape routes from each room on the diagram. Don't forget to practice these drills and update them as needed. Here we have a floor plan, and indicated in the diagram are 2 escape routes and a planned meeting area for this particular home. There's a key which indicates the windows, primary escape routes, and backup escape routes for each room, which are clearly labeled. When making a plan, don't forget to plan for those who are disabled and have special needs. Take extra precaution to make sure they have adequate support to evacuate when needed. Also, don't forget about pets, and if you can, take them with you. Just make sure that you can find shelters or areas that are pet friendly in advance. In addition, different hazards need different plans, so plan accordingly. During disasters, it is almost impossible to shop. Develop disaster kits and review them at least once a year and update them as needed. Make sure to place kits close to exits so you can quickly take them with you during times of disasters. This photo shows an example of a disaster kit. These are common items in a disaster kit. Make sure to add items as needed for your specific situation. The final step in preparedness is maintaining your plan. A plan should be versatile, so make sure to update it as needed. For example, in times of disaster, if you are instructed to take shelter immediately, then do so at once. Regardless of what your plan was, it is imperative that you take action. If you are instructed to evacuate, make sure to listen to the radio or television for instructions. Wear protective clothing and sturdy shoes. Take a disaster supplies kit and use routes designated by local authorities. Doing such will evade routes that are hampered by things such as trees and electrical power. In this slide are common things to do after a disaster. Make sure to include these in your plans. First, administer first aid and get help to those who are seriously injured. Don't forget to check on your neighbors, especially the elder and disabled. This is a good time to call your out-of-town contact and let them know where you are and if you're safe. Check for fires, electrical, and other household hazards. Certain liquids and gases can produce toxic fumes when mixed. If suspected, then turn off the main gas valves, open windows, and leave immediately. Stay away from power lines. Listen to local radio or televisions to get info about disaster relief. In order to maintain your plan, you must quiz, drill, restock, and test your plan beforehand. Review your plan every 6 months and quiz your family about what to do. Implement drills at least 2 times a year so that everyone knows what to do in the actual situation. Make sure food supplies and other items with expiration dates are discarded and replaced. And finally, test items such as radios, fire extinguishers, and smoke alarms for functionality. Last but not least, take responsibility. Being prepared is your responsibility. It will not only help you in times of a disaster, but it is essential. For more info, make sure to check FEMA and Red Cross to learn about what you could do before, during, and after a disaster. Thank you for your time. Don't forget, as citizens, we all have a part in times of a disaster. It is our responsibility to be prepared in times of a disaster. Hope you enjoyed this presentation, and any feedback will be greatly appreciated.